success story episode of Inspired Coach Podcast. Let me introduce you to our amazing guest today, whose name is Charlotte Pointeaux. Charlotte is a feminine business mentor, Priestess Temple Keeper, and founder of the First Moon Circle School. She guides visionary women to lead with their full feminine power and grow soul-aligned businesses rooted in deep strategy, sacred energetics, and embodied magic. Through private mentorship, masterminds, and her temple spaces, Charlotte activates women's leadership and soul genius. And as the founder of First Moon Circle, she trains women to facilitate rites of passage for girls, restoring reverence to menstrual education. Her work guides women to descend into their deepest wisdom so they can rise in their fullest expression. I should also mention here that Charlotte is a former Beautiful You Coaching Academy International Coach of the Year. And this episode ahead, I have found when I was interviewing Charlotte and also in looking back at the recording and preparing this episode for you today, to be so genuinely vulnerable in its sharing about the realities of what I now know to be many people's experiences of what opens them up to a coaching path. And that is that it sometimes comes with a lot of awakening and rupture and dark night of the soul and challenge before we find ourselves in a place where we can think about what's next for us and how it is that we want to genuinely live the next chapter after those experiences that have possibly involved grief and loss and trauma and transition into the next iteration of who we are. And Charlotte really shares that with us so genuinely today, and I think is a testament to really sharing with all of us how possible it is to start from darkness and really shift into an incredible space of light, because Charlotte is now running an incredibly successful business that has multiple award-winning offerings and sees her working with women and young girls and girls from all over the world. She truly is an inspiration. Enjoy this success story ahead. Charlotte Pointeaux, welcome to Inspired Coach Podcast and this beautiful success story that you're going to share with us ahead. So honoured to have you as our guest today.
Oh, thank you so much, Julie, for inviting me to share with you and everyone listening. It's a beautiful honour and it's so lovely to be with you again.
Charlotte, I was doing some research and reading about you. I mean, you and I have known one another for many years now. I had the great joy and privilege of training you to become a life coach. And one of the things that really struck me as I was reading on your About page was you said that it was motherhood that really both cracked you open and awakened you to becoming, that was the start for you of really igniting your own personal and spiritual journey that led you down the path to becoming so much more than just a coach now. And we're going to talk about that. But tell us a little bit about that awakening and cracking open and what life was like for you at that time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was a really difficult time. I had my first baby just before I turned 30, and I was living in Sydney, and I'm English, so I'm far away from family. And what I know now that I have actually only just learned in the last few months is that I'm a mum of 3 and all of my children are neurodivergent. And it was a really tricky time raising my babies. I didn't have support really, and I didn't have understanding of their sensitivities and the way that they needed to be really held. And so it was a really challenging time of realizing everything that I was expecting about motherhood and my life and myself really crumbled, and it had to crumble because I'd really spent my life being a good girl, highly empathetic, looking after everybody else first. And I had to start advocating for my daughter, who I didn't, as I say, understand what was going on and why, but was very aware that I had to really tune into her needs and her energy and say no to a whole lot of people, family included, and carve out a new life that really protected her and myself. And it sent me on a path that was a spiritual path, an awakening. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was this path away from everything that I thought I knew and had expected my life to look like, and into questioning who I am and my values and what I really wanted, but much more deeply than that, finding my voice, finding my power, and calling that forwards to be able to, for the first time in my entire life, speak true and stand strong and be the mother that I needed to be. We moved out of Sydney and into a new region. We live in the Southern Highlands now, which is between Sydney and Canberra in Australia. Again, with absolutely nobody that I knew here. And after my second daughter, I had a really difficult time again. I was depressed, but I experienced a serious melanoma, and a whole lot of things in my personal life started unraveling. So I had, some people call it like a dark night of the soul, a really difficult time of really real reckoning. I didn't want to go back to my job that was in Sydney, so it would have meant a lengthy commute. And I just found myself at this crossroads. It was what I would really call now time in the underworld, in the void, a real time of everything crumbling away, and not having answers, not knowing what the future would look like, and just having to pause and listen and really bed down. But it really was a turning point for me. I had a third child, which I was pregnant when I studied with you, Julie, with her, and she's about to turn 6 now.
Oh, gosh.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was completely different when she came along, because I had, in that time, been through this really intensive awakening and crumbling, and still did not know at all what was coming for me. But the pieces of the puzzle were starting to fall into place, and I'd found a way back to that truth and that intuition, and to listen to myself and to trust. And I'd been asking some very big and deep questions around, what is my purpose? What is this all for? It felt like I'd been through so much in my life already, all kinds of difficulties. And I thought, there's got to be something in this. I had this sense that it was going to be my power, my gold, my medicine, but I really didn't have any language for it, any map for it. But when my third daughter came along, it felt like she, in my belly, was just guiding me forwards. I felt really clear. I felt like her birthing, in a way, was like the third time lucky. It was sort of like a new initiation, a new stepping onto the path of me. And actually, it was when I really actually embraced motherhood, instead of feeling like I was being completely rocked by it.
Charlotte, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us so tenderly and vulnerably. I really, really appreciate that. And it also strikes me that with all of that journey that you went through, and then starting to find yourself, essentially, your true, genuine soul essence, by the time your third child was coming into the world and then came into the world, it's one thing for someone such as yourself to have that reckoning and find yourself in that way. But it's a whole other thing to then decide, I want to be in service to others who may be potentially experiencing this same thing or something else. And so tell us about the decision that you made amongst all of this personal reckoning to go, I think I want to train to become a coach and hold space for others.
It's quite funny, actually. There was a point where I thought, I don't want to work with women. I can't see myself ever working with adults.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this I did not know about you. Right. It's like, as somebody that now is like deep in the space of womanhood and holding space for other women and menstruation and cycles and fertility and all sorts of things. It's like, okay, let's spill the tea, Charlotte.
Yeah. So when I was in this deep phase of what is all this about, I was asked a beautiful question by an old friend who said, what was my most favorite job that I'd ever had? I used to work in England at a university supporting students and doing soft skill workshops and really supporting them to find their gifts and their strengths to transition out into the big wide world. And that was not a job that I chose. I found myself into that job after having been backpacking. And I found a temporary job that I was meant to do for 3 weeks. And lo and behold, the position became available at the end of that time. And I was very much encouraged and coached into that job. So for somebody who's always been absolutely terrified of the limelight, stepping in front of a whole room of people and delivering these workshops was just quite the challenge, but also the realization of, oh, I can actually do this. So when I was asked this question, I was thinking, oh, I'd love to work with young people. And as serendipitously as it is, when I realized this, I found a youth mentor training that you, Julie, that's how I found you. So I was
okay, through the beautiful Amanda Rootsy. Yes. Okay.
So I remember thinking, oh, I'm really set. I'm really clear. I want to create beautiful spaces for girls because that's what I needed. This is the sort of healing that was coming through me. So I trained and I was starting to run circles and workshops. And I found myself, again, another soul nudge. Didn't know what I was signing up for. Didn't really know why I was going. But I found myself in a 3-day immersive sacred circle facilitator training. And I'd never been to a circle. I didn't know what the rules were. I didn't consider myself spiritual at all. But I left those days having cried nonstop for 3 days, going, right, that's it. I'm going to book a women's circle and a mother-daughter circle and a circle for girls. And I'm going to hold these over the next few months. And having heard you speak on that youth mentor training, this little kernel sat with me. And at first, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a coach. No. And there was this real resistance to it because it felt like a serious commitment. Like that was claiming a path. Whereas I could just play and do my circles. That felt like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But it sat with me for a few months. And then I found myself going, I can't ignore this anymore. There is a calling. And I signed up to train with you. And then I fell pregnant. And it was this huge course correction that really just set me on the path. So yeah, it was this deep calling. It was very led from within, this deep need and desire and drive right when I was in the depths. It sort of felt like my way of pulling myself out a little bit, having some space for myself in the depths of motherhood as well, in this void space of thinking, well, what do I do with this? Because otherwise I feel like I'm being a bit sucked under. What's it all for? I need to find the candle in the darkness. So it was very much this internal yearning to give back, but very much at every turn, and it has been ever since, soul nudges of, you're being called to this. There is an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? And it's just unfolded.
Well, it has unfolded, but also sometimes I think when I hear someone say that word unfolded, some people might interpret that to mean it's very loosey-goosey and it's all just, do you know what, right? And that it's all just kind of happened. And when I say all, we're talking everyone here with somebody that in Charlotte who has gone on, I mean, this is a success story episode, to since that time and following those soul nudges go on to create an extraordinarily successful coaching, mentoring, sacred circle filled, course filled facilitator business that is just wildly beyond what I would dream for anybody that was taking this course, let alone potentially yourself. Like, I sit back in awe of everything that you've created. So yes, it unfolded, but along the way, I know that there has been such heart and diligence and effort and soul energy that has been put into something that clearly birthed from a dark place but is now shining so brightly. And so we're kind of sort of like jumping all over the place, but that makes me want to ask you, Charlotte, did it ever even cross your mind that this may be where this could end up for you?
Absolutely not. Not at all. And thank you for, I think that's a really fair point too, about unfolding, because this has been years of deep, deep work and eternal growth and putting myself in really challenging situations and big trainings and facing initiations and really choosing to step in when I could very easily have just said, do you know what? Just sit down and take a break, girl. Like, you're all right. You've got enough going on. And partly it's because I must, like, there's definitely a drive. And there's a drive that's very heart and soul and service led. But there's also, I think it's fair to say, a real part of me that this was also born from not wanting to go back to a job that sucked my soul dry and wanting to create a life and a business that really allowed me to have the life that I desire to live and to be the mother that I wanted to be and to nourish me first. So it's been choices of how can I create the freedom that I really need to sustain me, to sustain this work. And yeah, I would never, ever have imagined, ever, never. I wouldn't have believed I was capable of doing these things, let alone creating what's been created.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And so let's talk about that a little bit more. One of the things that I absolutely am just enamored by in your business, Charlotte, is the breadth of different offerings that you have. And so there are so many different parts to your story, but you trained with us to become a coach initially, you know, from working with girls and young people and now expanded well beyond that. Tell us, where is your business now? And if I was to ask you, what would you consider to have been the real turning point for you where you thought to yourself, wow, this is really flying now. Like, this is really working and expanding and this is what I do. What would you consider that moment to be?
That's a really good question. I think what I'm feeling is there's been levels of that, where it's not just happened once, it's happened a few times where I've gone, we're still here, we're still going.
Yep. Fair call. It's like, wow, it's like I'm still in business. The website's still live. Good job.
Especially with what's been happening in the world over the last few years. I think there's been a few points where I've thought, wow, will I withstand what's going on? So I think really, though, the first time and probably the biggest time was when I created the first Moon Circle Facilitator training, which was absolutely born from me offering my circles in my local area, just sharing them on Instagram, going, this is what I'm doing. And other people saying, wow, can you show me? I'd love to learn. And I made that decision to go, sure, I could do this. It's going to be imperfect to start with, but let's just give it a go. And so I created a really beautiful course. It was quite simply structured. It was, what didn't have big fancy tech and systems and all of the bells and whistles. But I delivered this training over 3 months and it was a resounding success. And I was blown away. Wow, really? People want to learn how to do this as well. I thought maybe, I've got women like you, Julie, and Amanda, and various other people who I've seen who are leading these incredible businesses, but movements, and really building up like incredible community, creating incredible change. And I think having role models like you, it did give me a signpost of what potentially could be possible. And I thought, well, one foot in front of the other, let's just see what happens. I think I might run this training again and just see if it's got legs. Because the first time, it's people who I knew.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, well, will anyone else come? And it did. People came.
Yeah.
And then I did it again and again and again and again and again. But after probably 2 or 3 times, I thought, I think this has really got something. I think this could really work. And I think that this could be really impactful and actually support me, as a proper business model. So I think at that point, I re-recorded all my lessons. I invested in some proper technology to host the course and, build it all out and started just taking it more seriously and called it a school. And that at that moment, I thought, yeah, I've claimed this now. I'm not just little old me giving this a go and seeing what sticks. It felt real. And at that moment, I remember just thinking, so this was probably in the end of 2020, 2021, I expect. I thought, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have gone on to create a movement, a movement of people that are circle holders and facilitators, in the most extraordinary and beautiful ways. And I love, everyone, I want you to pick up something really, really important that Charlotte was sharing there, because I know that many coaches and space holders have done online courses before and possibly desire to hold one for themselves or do one for themselves in the future. Did you hear, everyone, how Charlotte started out imperfectly? Not everything was beautifully branded. Not everything was tech magnificent. It was basic in a way. Doesn't mean content's basic or heart's basic or intent is basic or information is basic, but it didn't have bells and whistles. That came later. Right? And so I love that, because I think that offers a lot of inspiration to people to start out, as a beginner. I'm in the midst of delivering a brand new course myself right now. It's a pilot, it's not perfectly branded just yet. That's going to come. The beautiful stuff, it's going to come, but it doesn't have to be for the first time around. We've got to test and play with things. And I love you sharing, that you did that, which is incredible. Charlotte, I also wanted to take a little bit of time to ask you about the fact that in your work now, you really, and in your personal journey, of course, and I know this path myself deeply, is that you very much now have embraced the role, the service, the title, the path of the priestess. And that is something that is very deeply evident in your work and how you are supporting women now to really ignite their own spiritual path and world. How important has that become to you in the work that you do now?
It's the heart and soul, the core of who I am. And so it simply is all that I do as well. And it's how I show up. It's how I hold group calls, not even just as workshops, but as circles, as sacred spaces. It's in every session with a client. It's in all of my programs. It's the temples that I hold here in person. I'm deepening on the priestess path as well with regards to, I'm apprenticing right now to teach sacred space holders how to hold temple spaces, which are an evolution of the sacred spaces I've been holding before. And so it's really clear to me that that is where my deepest medicine lies, and that is absolutely my path. And that is where I can feel that my genius and my magic really comes through as well. And so it's in service to myself to really claim that it was something I couldn't deny. And the word priestess used to trigger me so much. It was a word that I thought, I just can't get on board with this word. I don't know why. And so I had to really sit with that and unpack that and do a whole lot of learning and unlearning and reclamation around that too. And so now it's something that I feel like it's not just who I am now, it's who I've always been. And it's just a deep remembrance of that and embracing that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I asked you that question. It's always a delight to speak and be in space with a fellow priestess. So I see you, sister. Thank you.
Thank you, love.
Charlotte, I'd love to finish up by asking you today, because I think that this is potentially such a light and inspiration to so many people that are listening, is that for anybody who is going through, whether we want to call it a dark night of the soul, an absolute sinkhole of existence, or anything else where things feel really dark and we're not certain about, where the light is for us, but there's something that's calling them into themselves, and also potentially for others as well, where they might like to be in service and they might like to truly not just find themselves but help others to do that. What would be something that you would love to share with them, because you have walked this path yourself so divinely?
I just want to sit with that a moment. Yeah. For me, I feel like it's creating and inviting in the support that you need to hold you, to be in that, and not to fall into it in a way that you are consumed by it, but to listen really, really deeply to what is being shown to you and what is being asked of you and what is being remembered in that process. Because there's a crumbling happening where things that have been can no longer be. And so that might be little, it might be large, it's some kind of moment. And I like to see these as crossroads. We always have a choice. Everyone has sovereignty and agency over whether we choose to step in or not. And there's a time and a readiness for that. But to root down into the support that you need and into the moment, and to listen for when that little glimmer of light comes that shows you a way forwards, the hope, the possibility that's on the other side of this. Because I believe that we walk through these, and we're given, sometimes we face these moments not to destroy us, but to wipe down the sticky residue that hides us, so that we're sort of becoming clarified, purified, clearer, and we can access our true essence that's on the inside. So it's only possible when we go through the heat of these fires to let all that just melt away. And on the other side, there is so much potential and possibility for growth and for healing. And when we feel like we're trying to rush these processes, we can't. So it's taking that time and knowing that whatever you call forwards or receive from this is going to be such medicine, not just for yourself, but for your people, something that will really become part of who you are and something that you can offer back or will just infuse the way that you show up. So if you're called to be of service, even when you feel like you're walking these dark paths, it's knowing that this is, as cliche as it sounds, part of the process often. And so to be with it as best you can whilst being supported in all the ways that you can be.
Beautiful. Spoken like a true priestess, space holder, coach, circle, maven, facilitator, all the things. Charlotte, we are just simply so proud of your award-winning self, one of our former International Coaches of the Year, and just everything that you are achieving and doing and being in service. And may I just say thank you to that part of you that all of those years ago, as you were experiencing the rite of passage that is matrescence and motherhood and that awakening and that challenge, thank you to the part of you that kept holding on and keeping going, because you've done so not just for yourself and your children, but also now for thousands of women around the world who have been touched by your work. So thank you for everything that you are and are continuing to become.
Oh, thank you so much, Julie, for that beautiful reflection, and just same to you. Thank you so much for walking your path and being such a beautiful sacred leader and a torchbearer for all of us to be able to see what's possible, and so that we can do it together in a beautiful sisterhood way as well, with such integrity. Yes. So thank you for all that you are and all that you've brought to the world.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte, and a big, big yes to us all walking and doing this together.